Live from New York, this is WIUR Radio.
What is up with it, everybody? Top of the hour here, 11 o'clock a.m., September 22nd, the year of our Lord 2025. Welcome back to Woolley Mammoth Wednesdays. I am your host, Cameron Woolley, bringing you all the latest in sports, predominantly in New York, but we'll branch out from time to time. Boy, last night, I just want to start with this, dude. The Giants, I don't really know what to say about them anymore because I can't. I can't. This is just it's September 22nd and I'm sitting here and I'm at a loss for words. I don't know what I can say that hasn't been said by me and by millions of other people millions of times over God knows how many years. It's the same thing. The same thing. And as I was watching it, it's like there's so much little things too. It's like you watch them like block on screen passes or on running plays. There was this one play that made me like irrationally angry where Wan'Dale Robinson like missed a blocking assignment on an outside run that would have gotten like maybe 5 or 8 yards. And then and Cam Scadaboo, who was fantastic last night and has been fantastic all year. I feel so bad for him. He ended up getting stuffed at or behind the line of scrimmage. And it just made me think about how the Giants do things that losers do that winners don't. It's a blocking assignment here, an illegal contact penalty there. Although the penalties were better than last week, on account of James Hudson not being in at left tackle. But I don't know. I'm like, it's incompetence from top to bottom, and it's been that way for so long. I mean, this is the second year in a row where Graham Gano gets hurt in warmups, and we play the entire game without a kicker. That happening once in any franchise's history is unforgivable. But with the Giants, this happens 2 years in a row. Anyone knew that Graham Gano wasn't a reliable option to have at kicker. And the bare minimum, I can't believe I have to sit here and stress about how having a kicker, just a kicker, is important in any capacity. It doesn't matter if it's Jake Moody or Brandon Aubrey. Just having a kicker who can kick field goals is the bare minimum for like anything. And the Giants, they somehow can't even do that. And then like that's Graham Gano getting hurt in warmups. And dude, do you know how easy it is to find one of those? And Graham Gano, his contract, he has a $5 million cap hit. You're paying $5 million for the cheapest position in the league, where you can't even have him on the field all the time. How are you signing? How are you? Oh my God. I'm gonna blow a gasket if I haven't already. I already got told by my producer to turn it down because I think I might have peaked my mic already. Shout out Pietro, by the way. Great guy. Great guy, doing a good job here listening to me do everything. But oh my God, dude, I'm just so caught up on that. How do you not go into a season? It's like everyone knew this going in. I remember over the offseason when everyone was kind of stoked on the moves that the Giants were making. And I still think that there's talent on this team. This team is far too talented to be playing this badly. If you look on the defensive side of the ball, that pass rush is ferocious. Every single time Mahomes dropped back, or at least it felt like it, there were maybe, I could count, I could fit it on both of my hands, the amount of times where I saw Patrick Mahomes drop back to pass where he wasn't under some sort of duress. That defensive line is amazing with how they get pressure on the quarterback. Now, finishing the job, that's a different story. But the way they get pressure on every play is remarkable to me. And the fact that a team with that defensive line is 0-3 again is a testament to just how awful and how corrosive and poisonous this franchise has become. And again, I come back to this. How do you not have a kicker? Like, and this was over the offseason, this was an issue where they re-signed Graham Gano, and I'm like, this could be an issue. But we overlooked it because we saw Paulson Adebo and Javon Holland, who, by the way, both of those guys where have they been? Guys who are supposed to be playmakers, they're not making plays. Maybe you could blame Shane Bowen a bit on that, but the Giants defensive backs who have a easier job than most secondaries in the league when it comes to pass defense, because of the aforementioned defensive line that gets pressure on nearly every play, their jobs are significantly easier as a result, and they still can't make plays on the ball. So we got all caught up in the moves that they were making that we forgot that they just, forgive me for this awful pun I'm about to make, but they literally just punted on the kicker position. And you had to know this was a possibility. When do you hear about injury prone kickers? You don't, because teams don't employ them, because having a kicker who's injury prone leads to having him hurt his groin in warmups and going your entire game without a kicker who can't make a kick below or above 30 yards. And Steve Spagnuolo knew this. He went into this game. He adjusted. Yeah, coach making adjustments. Think about that. That's a wild concept, isn't it? He made the adjustment. He was like, okay, we're not going to let them stretch the field because they know they don't have a kicker. They know they can't settle for field goals. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to put a safety on Malik Neighbors at all times so Russ can't throw it deep. And then Russ, lo and behold, throws it deep anyway. By the way, great job there from Mr. Unlimited. Mr. Dangerwich over here, 2 picks. I think, I don't know if he even threw for 100 yards, but it didn't feel like it in the red zone in a goal-to-go situation, throwing the ball away on 4th down. Throwing the ball away, not even giving his receivers or honestly the secondary a chance to make a play on it. Not even keeping it in the field of play. Throwing balls through the uprights on 4th down. Are you kidding me? Honestly, all of this is just a testament to how bad the Cowboys defense is, because how do you let that throw for 450 yards and 3 tutties on you? How do you let that drop 37 points on you? And then the Chiefs, who aren't convincing me either. I'm not convinced by the Chiefs. This game was well within reach for the Giants. If they were playing most other teams, they lose that game, and they're at 0-3. But, oh my God. Oh, dude, this is... And the thing is, I don't know if it can really be fixed, to be honest. Like, sure, we can, like, and also, by the way, dude, we're going to see Jackson Dart. If not this week, it better be this week, because it's 0-3. Your season's over. It's September 22nd, and your season's over. Again, by the way. We're in late September, and we're talking about the season being over, and we're talking about regime change and when this guy's going to get fired, when this guy's going to get benched, when we're already talking about flushing the excrement that currently is employed by this team down the toilet and then filling it up with even more excrement because we know that's how this team works. And then, like, sure, Dart's going to start. Like, maybe he'll look good, but I just want to see something because whatever Russell Wilson is doing, it's not working. He's a one-dimensional quarterback. Sure, when the defense allows him to do it, he's good. Russell Wilson against the Cowboys, we saw it last week. When a defense gives him the deep shots, I mean, he's going to take it and he's going to hit it because his deep ball, for the most part, is still relatively accurate. I mean, last night it was dreadful. I mean, that throw to Wan'Dale Robinson that was picked off, that was triple coverage. This was a guy who was sold to us as a smart vet who wouldn't make the same stupid mistakes that Daniel Jones made. And by the way, Daniel Jones is doing fine. He's 3-0 in Indianapolis. Boy, he's really making me eat a bunch of it. But this was a guy who was sold to us as a smart, capable veteran who wouldn't make mistakes. And he's here throwing hospital passes and rubber ducks into triple coverage. One of them got intercepted, and the other nearly got Malik Neighbors killed. And that is the last thing that you need to do. Actively harming the only one of two parts of your offense that doesn't make your fans want to blow their brains out on a nightly basis. Yeah, and yeah, don't mind him just throwing hospital passes that are going to get your best receiver injured. Because, the Giants totally don't have experience with young, promising receivers getting injured and then their careers never being the same. Yeah, that totally never happened to Victor Cruz, never happened to Akeem Nicks, never happened to Odell Beckham, never happened to any of them. Nope. So that totally didn't invoke any bad memories or past trauma. And it's like, we know what's going to happen. This regime's going to get canned, like barring a miraculous return where Jackson Dart comes in, plays really well, wins the team like 7 games, and then we have a reason to believe. But barring a miracle happening, which miracles don't happen to this team, we're going to see the regime get fired. We're going to go through the search. We're going to hire a new guy. We're going to hire a new coach. We're going to be all optimistic. And then we're going to be having the same exact conversation at the same exact time 4 years from now. Because why should I believe that anything otherwise is going to happen? I remember this 4 years ago. We fired Dave Gettleman, or we didn't really fire Dave Gettleman. He retired. And then we fired Joe Judge. And then we hired Joe Shane and Brian Dable, and we think this is where they turn the corner. We got modern minds. We got outside voices coming into this organization. And then the first year, it goes well by some freak accident. They make the playoffs and win a playoff game. And then it just goes all downhill, and these guys go from heroes to you can't even stand to look at their face anymore. That's how bad it is. It's like, I don't know if I'm at Dave Gettleman, Joe Judge yet with Shane and Dable, because I think the personnel moves that Joe Shane has made in the last couple of years have been very good. Yeah, letting Saquon Barkley walk to the Eagles, that was good process because you were in no position to pay a running back. But I like the draft picks they made the last couple of years. I think they've been pretty good. I think the free agent signings, at least in process and on paper, looked good. We love the moves that they made at the time, and don't act like you didn't. But I'm sitting here, it's like you're 4 years in, you still don't have a complete offensive line. You still don't have an offense that can score 20 points on a consistent basis. In the modern NFL, we don't have an offense that can reliably score 20 points a game. If you give up 22 points, you should be able to win the game. You're telling me you can't score 3 touchdowns? You're telling me 24 points. That's all I want out of this team, 24 points. And they can't give me that. So this is what's going to happen. They're going to fire Shane and Dable. They're going to bring in new guys. They're going to have a high draft pick. We're going to get all optimistic. We're going to be like, hey, things are changing. And then fast forward 4 years, we're going to be having the same conversation because this team is corrosive. It's poisonous. The problem goes so much deeper. And things aren't going to change. I have no reason to believe that they are. I am like, if I always say, if I would give anything to not be emotionally bound to this dog pile, dumpster fire, disaster of a franchise, and I would be perfectly fine just anywhere else, any other team. Dude, make me like a Chargers fan or something. I know that's heinous, but make me a Chargers fan because at least they get tickled before they get punched in the face. With this team, it's just a constant punch in the face. And I wouldn't mind if they were like low key bad. Like I remember when the Devils were terrible for like 10 years after the Cup final run. I didn't mind them being bad in the way that they were bad because they were just whatever. They were just bad. They were boring bad. The Giants do it in such an extravagant way that it garners attention. It garners eyeballs. It garners memes, jokes. They're a laughing stock. I know we've said this a million times, but they're a laughing stock. I hate this team. I do. I hate them. I would give anything to be a fan of any other team in the league. Because whatever anybody else has, it has to be better than this. Except save for maybe the Jets, which we'll get to in a bit. But it's so awful. And I know there are going to be people who are going to say, oh, the Super Bowls. You have 2 Super Bowls in your life. You're spoiled. I don't feel spoiled. I look at teams like the Indianapolis Colts and I feel spoiled with Daniel Jones leading, he's going to be an MVP candidate this year, which I think that's more of an indictment on this coaching staff than anything because they had 3 years to work with him. They made him the number one enemy in town, had me all over him. I hated Daniel Jones when he was here, but it turns out it was everything else that was the problem, and he's balling out on the Colts, dropping 40 points a game, only punting once through the first 3 weeks. The Giants have more turnovers than the Colts have punts all year. So that's fantastic. I love that. Can't wait for that nightmare to play itself out. Can't wait for the Colts. I can't wait for it to be a Colts-Eagles Super Bowl. Isn't that going to be great? Bet the house on that. Colts-Eagles in the Super Bowl. You know, I got to see what are the odds on FanDuel for that exact matchup. I wonder if that's up there. Dear God, just the worst. I hate this. This is torture. If you want to know what, like, this team should violate the 8th Amendment. This is absolutely cruel and unusual punishment. Forcing somebody to become emotionally bound to this team qualifies as cruel and unusual punishment and is unconstitutional. This team is unconstitutional. It's an embarrassment. Anyways, that'll be it for my Giants spiel. I don't know how coherent that was. I don't know how, like, because I didn't really prep for that. That was just straight from the gut. That was just a whole bunch of emotional issues. And don't worry, you're going to be seeing a lot more of that for the rest of the year. Let's go on to the Jets. I unfortunately didn't have a lot of time to watch the game. I was watching on Red Zone. I had my eyes peeled, all sorts of different fantasy matchups and everything. But from what I heard, I mean, Tyrod Taylor did a pretty good job at quarterback. I mean, aside from the pick six, but I mean, I know Pietro, he watches this team on a weekly basis. He gets tortured by them all the time. So he has a better idea of it. He just made a gesture to me that I can't really repeat on air, but it's accurate and it's valid. Because even when they blocked that field goal and ran it back for a touchdown, and you had Aaron Glenn doing the funny high step, every time you think that the vibes are different, You get Baker Mayfield driving down the field. Also, dude, what a quarterback that guy is. God, dude, Baker Mayfield. I said a lot of bad things about him going into his draft year, and I kind of became a professional hater of his when I was in high school. But the job that he's done with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, my God, is he a good quarterback? Like, there are very few quarterbacks in the league I'd trust more with the ball in their hands with 2 minutes left. Dude, Baker Mayfield, that's the guy I want. Because he just oozes. He's the opposite of the Giants. Or the Jets, for that matter. The opposite of New York football. I mean, yeah, we back the Bills. Shut up. But it's the polar opposite of New York football. That guy wills his team to win games. That is incredible what he has been able to do. He makes the throws. He avoids sacks. He's lowering his shoulder, running people over. That guy has no regard for anything but his team winning football games. And as for the Jets, I mean, sure, we can talk about the moral victories, I guess, but from what I've seen around Jet circles, that is not what the mentality has been. That has not been the prevailing conversation. That has not been the talking point. Because at the end of the day, dude, they're 0-3, just like my sad team. Dude, New York football is so sad. It's September 22nd. We're already throwing in the towel. We're already talking about our fantasy teams. By the way, my fantasy team's 0-3. So, in case you were wondering if I had, hey, maybe I can hang my hat on this. No, my fantasy team's 0-3. So, yeah. I drafted Ashton Genty with my first round pick. I drafted A.J. Brown with my second round pick, although I ended up being able to get rid of the latter. But he popped off for 100 yards and a touchdown. But the guy I got for him, I got Cortland Sutton for him, and he was fine. So, whatever. No, it is what it is. And I got Zach Ertz in return for him, too, so I can't really complain. But yeah, Ashton Genty was my first round pick, and Joe Burrow was my third round pick. Yeah, you wonder how he's doing. Yeah, he's probably in a hospital right now. Terrible. Just terrible. I can't. Dude, New York football, it's so depressing. It's depressing, it's frustrating, and it's sad. It is very, very sad. And with the Jets, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know what I can say about the Jets because, again, that's another unfixable mess. You know, Aaron Glenn, he's going to bring the Dan Campbell energy. No, he's not. He didn't. Because I'm gonna paraphrase Joe Benigno here. It's you change the jersey, you change the players, change the coaches, change the owner for whatever that's worth. But although changing the owner, I mean that seems like it worked pretty well in Washington. But it's just the name, the Jets. It's never going to get better. Nothing for either of our teams is going to get better for a very, 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 very long time. It's awful. New York football, man. It's fantastic. Great stuff. I love looking at Tankathon. Again, September 22nd, week 3. We've got 15 more weeks of regular season football left, and we're already throwing in the towel. And for good reason, because we have no reason to have any faith in either of these teams. Back after this.
Untouchable, unstoppable.
This is WIUR Sports Radio.
Hi, I'm Robbie Basil, president of WIUR Radio, and I hope you're enjoying today's show. Have you ever wanted to call the biggest games, the biggest moments for the biggest names for Iona Athletics? Then the newly founded WIUR Sports Radio is the place to be. Launched in January of 2025, our goal is to try and get broadcasters here at Iona an opportunity to learn, succeed, and get a chance to be on air. From getting to call the big moments at the hack.
Dinkins trying to go to the rack. Denied! Denied! Yafet Mundi with
to seeing the crack of the bat at City Park.
the line drive into left field, around third, and it kicks away. The Gales are going to win it in 10.
We make those moments happen on our brand new WIUR sports radio platform on Mixer. If you're interested, feel free to reach out to me via email or to the rest of my e-board to join the club. We are WIUR Sports Radio, the new home of Iona Athletics. Now, back to the show on WIUR, Iona University Radio.
WIUR Sports on Mixler is back as we cover a doubleheader on Saturday as Iona heads to Buffalo to face Canisius. Coverage begins at 11:30 a.m. with our new show, Gales Game Day, before Iona women's soccer play at 12 and men's soccer at 3. Only on WIUR Sports on Mixler. I tell you, Robbie Basil, our president here, he's done a great job with just transforming this club into something bigger, and it's going to pay dividends for not only this program, but for this university. Just getting more talent, getting people with more reps, getting more people recognized, getting more tape. Everything, just great stuff. Just a quick shout out there. Anyways, on the baseball, things aren't much better there, at least for one team. The Yankees, I mean, a pretty exciting win yesterday. I mean, Cam Schlittler matching Kyle Bradish, who's a very good pitcher. I don't want that to be lost in any of this. Kyle Bradish, very good pitcher. Or Bradish, I don't really know how his name is pronounced for sure. I apologize if I messed that up. But, I mean, Cam Schlittler, he located the fastball, and this is what we know about him. If he locates the fastball, he's a very, very dangerous man to be standing 60 feet away from when you're at the plate, because his stuff is honestly better than everybody else in this rotation, including Max Fried, who's done an incredible job as of late. I know he had a bad month or two where there was a lot of people, myself included, who were thinking, oh God, here we go. Another inconsistent pitcher we gave $200 million to. But he's really stabilized himself. He's throwing hard. He's ramping up at the right time. And and when I look at the standings, I see them 2 games back of Toronto. I can't help but think if they just played average ball for June and July, they would have been running away with the division by now. But nope. They had to let Devin Williams try to close, and they had to put Anthony Volpe with a torn labrum at shortstop. It's so stupid, this team. But again, they're gonna play a home playoff series. Knock on wood, to the point where I kind of hurt my hands there, but they're going to have a home playoff series. It is probably going to be against the Red Sox. And I mean, you're not going to catch me being optimistic about the Yankees in a playoff series. I've been very vocal about how I feel about how they play in the playoffs, how they hit. It is just a very unreliable group of people to rely on. And I'm looking at Cap here. Aaron Judge, he should win MVP. I said this on Gale Zone. I think it's ridiculous to insinuate that anyone other than Aaron Judge should be MVP. I mean, sure. Well, if Cal Raleigh hits 63 homers, then I think that should take precedent over what Judge has done. But I mean, it was kind of like, because I hearken back to the MVP race. I think it was in 1941 or whenever Joe DiMaggio had that 56 game hit streak. Sure, Ted Williams put up objectively better numbers in every facet, but the 56 game hit streak was just so historic that just overtook everything. And if Cal Raleigh hits 63 home runs, I think that would be enough to give him MVP. But as of right now, Judge, that's his award to lose. And if Cal Raleigh gets given MVP, I'm gonna lose my mind. But anyways, with the Yankees, I mean, they've looked good lately. They win the 4-game set against the Orioles. I was getting a little scared. I think it was after that second game that they lost, where I was like, "Oh boy, here we go. They're doing the middling garbage that they normally do." But again, they're gonna host a playoff series. They need to get hot. Because and they need to rely on people other than Judge because they haven't been able to rely on Judge. In the playoffs last year, they had other people step up, including public enemy number one here at shortstop. He stepped up in the playoffs. If you remember last year, Anthony Volpe, he looked very good last October. But I mean, you gotta have people that you can rely on outside of Judge because you haven't been able to rely on him in the playoffs the last two times you've been there. And I guess I want to break down guys I do and don't trust going into the playoffs. This might be a little early to do it because I think we're gonna have another show before the playoffs start and before we get ramped up for that. But the guys I trust, obviously Giancarlo Stanton. I trust him with my life in a big spot. There is nobody on this team I want up more than Giancarlo Stanton in a big spot, especially in October, because that guy turns into the Terminator. I trust Ben Rice because Ben Rice is awesome. I haven't seen him in the playoffs. I have no reason to believe that I shouldn't trust him. He hits the ball hard and he's due for a lot of positive regression. And what better place for positive regression to take place than in October? I trust Cody Bellinger. Definitely trust Cody Bellinger. He's been money all year. I love Cody Bellinger. He's been great in the big spots too. I like him. With runners on, he's hit very well and he hits lefties better, which for some reason managers don't understand that he has reverse splits. And whenever they bring in lefties and he hits them, it always makes me laugh. Other guys I trust, let's see. Trent Grisham. I trust Grish in a big spot. I trust him to hit. I trust Jose Caballero. He should be in the line. He should be the starting shortstop in the playoffs because what he brings, he brings something that the Yankees have not had at any point in this window, and that is a player who is just a total pest, whose sole job is to annoy the ever living you know what out of every team he plays against. He's the guy where it's like, you gotta, even like the way you pitch to him, like you want to be aggressive because you don't want to walk him, but also you don't want to give him pitches to hit. So a player like Jose Caballero provides a nightmare for everybody who pitches to him or defends against him. Because when he gets on, his slugging percentage should realistically be 100 points higher because every single or walk turns into a double, every double turns into a triple. And he's just amazing. He brings something that the Yankees have desperately needed for a very long time. I can't really think of anybody else who I really trust in October. I'll tell you who I don't trust. I don't trust Judge and I don't trust Jazz. And that isn't me saying that I think Jazz is a bad player. I just think like after last year and he doesn't really hit good pitching that well. But I like Jazz as a defender and as a base runner, so I can let that be. Like he's talented enough to where you shouldn't take him out. But yeah, I don't trust Jazz Chisholm in the playoffs, sadly. I also don't trust Austin Wells. I know I got a friend who really likes Austin Wells, and I know that would tick her off, but that's I gotta say how I feel, say what I think. And what I think is I really don't trust Austin Wells. He hasn't been good. Not this year. Sure, a good defender, and that's valuable enough. If Wells can chip in a little bit offensively, but defend the way he has, I'll be fine with it. The pitching. The 1, 2, 3 of this rotation, I'm fine with it going into the playoffs. I like the 1, 2, 3 of Fried, Rodon, and Schlittler. I don't want Luis Hield anywhere close to a playoff game. He is super unreliable, and he does the one thing that every pitcher shouldn't do, and that is give guys free passes. Doesn't matter how good the hitter is. You could be hitting like the guy at the plate could be like I could be at the plate and he would walk me. That's how bad Luis Heel is. As for the bullpen, David Bednar is the only guy who I unequivocally trust. Because I don't care how good Devin Williams has been. I'm not falling for that again. I fell for it after he was a good setup man. I'm like, oh, Devin Williams, he was pretty good there. Maybe he's back. Yeah. Yeah, no. I don't want Devin Williams anywhere close. But we might not have a choice. If he's hot, that's our setup guy. He might be closing games. And he's probably going to end our season if we let him do that. It'd be very painful. It'd be very fitting if we play a 3-game set against the Red Sox and it's Devin Williams who blows the lead and it's Aroldis Chapman who gets the save. You know what? That's probably what's going to happen. I may have just predicted the future there. But I don't trust Devin Williams. Honestly, I don't trust Luke Weaver. He's been spotty all year. I don't trust Fernando Cruz right now because after coming back from injury, he's been terrible. Tim Hill. I'll trust Tim Hill. As of right now, the 7, 8, 9 for me is Tim Hill, Devin Williams, and David Bednar. That's not good if you want to win a World Series. But again, we've seen teams win championships with spotty bullpens. If you remember the 2018 Red Sox, they didn't really have a good bullpen. They had Craig Kimbrell and a bunch of mid. And they still won the World Series because their starters gave them length and their lineup was honestly the best lineup of the 21st century. That team was ridiculous. But again, we've seen it happen. So you can work around a spotty bullpen in the playoffs. That depends on, but you gotta trust the hot hand. And I don't know if I really trust Aaron Boone to make those zoomed in decisions and not zoom out and focus on peripherals. Because all that matters, I could care less about your peripherals. You need results. And if you're not getting results, you shouldn't be pitching. Plain and simple. I don't really know if I have much else to say about the Yankees. I mean, obviously they got the 3-game set against the White Sox. I'm not going to talk about the scenario of them winning the division because that's not happening. I highly doubt that is happening. You got the Red Sox playing the Blue Jays, and AL East teams love losing to the Blue Jays for some reason. The Orioles laid down and died for them, blowing 2-run leads in the 9th inning. I remember that game. Where the Orioles had they're both birds, but the Orioles had a 2-run lead in the 9th inning and then they blew it. They got walked off. The division lead would have been down to 1 if the Orioles won that game. And the division lead for the Yankees would have been up to 3 if they won like half of those games that they gave to them. So, that is what it is. It's baseball. It's baseball, Susan. God, I hate that saying. As much as I love John Sterling, I hate that saying because it usually insinuates that something bad happened to my team that doesn't really happen to other teams. Or something that shouldn't have happened that happened to my team. But I think the division at this point is a pipe dream. They need to win out from this point forward. And the Blue Jays need to go 500, both of which I don't really think are happening. The Blue Jays, I think, are at least finishing 500, and they just need to finish 500 if they want to win the division. Wait, no. No, if the Yankees go 6-0, the Blue Jays go 3-3. The Yankees win the... Okay, never mind. But, yeah, the Yankees would need to win out to win the division, I think. And I don't see Toronto really blowing that. It would be nice. I'd like to have home field. But if you remember, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the lack of a layoff will be good for Aaron Judge. Because sometimes when he gets hot and he has a few days off, he takes a while to recalibrate. Maybe the lack of a layoff will have him be more locked in. It'll make him hit better. Who knows? All right, that's all for me with the Yankees. I don't have anything else to say about them because what we're really here for, the New York Mets. Oh my God. Oh man, are we sure the Wilpons still aren't running the show? Are we sure? All offseason, you sign Juan Soto, a power grab, a blatant power grab to say, we're the big act in town. We're the boss. We own you. Your little brother. And for all the Met fans to say, it's not about that. No, blow your nose with that. It absolutely is. That's a factor. You knew when you signed Juan Soto, the main thing that you took away from it was you got one over on the Yankees. You stole their star. And you came into this year thinking that like the bar for success was winning the National League pennant. You had to go to the World Series for the season to be considered a success. And I don't want to hear anything about how, oh, but the standard, we're used to being bad. Nope. Welcome to our world. Don't pull this lovable loser shtick on me now. You wanted this. When Steve Cohen bought the team, you were sold a higher standard. And you owe it to yourselves to hold that team to that same standard. You should not be sitting here talking about how, oh, they had fun. They did this. We had a few fun moments. We had some laughs. Nope. If they miss the playoffs, this would be hands down, beyond the shadow of a doubt, the worst late season collapse in Mets history. This would be light years worse than 2007. Light years. Because at least in 2007, you didn't have the cushion of the wild card spots. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but if it was the same playoff format that was around today, was around in 2007, the Mets would have been in the playoffs. Right now, the Mets are in danger of losing out on a playoff spot in a format where it has never been easier to make the playoffs. Have you seen the garbage that gets into the playoffs these days? It's disgraceful. Whoever the third wildcard team is in the National League, they don't belong there. They don't belong. Even in the American League, the third wild card. You mean to tell me that the Cleveland, although Cleveland's been pretty good, but you mean to tell me that that a team that wins like 84 games deserves to make it to the playoffs? No, they don't. And as of right now, the Mets, they don't control their own destiny. The Reds do. Their season lies in the hands of whoever is playing the Cincinnati Reds, who are on fire right now, might I add. So if the Mets miss the playoffs this year, first of all, Carlos Mendoza's gone. The second that I wouldn't even let him talk to the press after the 162nd game if the Mets miss, because there's no way that you can let that guy manage this team after this year. And this lackadaisical whatever energy, it feels like there's no urgency. There's this everything's going to be okay mindset, but it's not. Sure, that's because last year gave them the impression that, oh, we're a team of destiny. We've got luck on our side. Oh, the script writers like us. This is a movie. We're having a fun time. We're the good, jolly old Mets. We're the likable Mets. And we're going to do it because we make it happen. Paraphrasing Keith McPherson here, the make it happen Mets. We're the make it happen Mets, where we just win. We're getting close to game 160, and they haven't won a single game where they were trailing after 8 innings. That's loser stuff. I call the Yankees losers, but that's a little. Show me, look, that's a loser right there. No comebacks, ridiculous. If I was a Mets fan and they missed the playoffs, I would be volcanic. I know I say that a lot, but that fits the term. I would be irate if the Mets were to miss the playoffs. That would be a nightmare. A total, complete nightmare. And it would be worse than 07. You can say that it's not worse. Oh, they blew a 7-game lead. They blew. No, this is worse. Because you went into this year. It's Juan Soto. You don't sign. And I saw this tweet where it was like, oh, look at the developments the Mets made this year. Look at this. Look at that. No, I'm seeing goalpost moving from this fan base. Honestly, dude, it's such losing energy all around, dude. This fan base, they're so. It's like, this is why I can't stand Mets fans most of the time, because they move the goalposts all the time. They can't fathom holding their team to a standard higher than, oh, just finish above 500 and look happy in the dugout. They can't fathom holding their team to a high standard because they're just like, oh, we're the Mets. We're likable. We have Mr. Met. We have Citi Field. We have such a fun. We're so fun. Here's the thing. Vibes aren't going to cut it anymore. You can't sell your fans on vibes when you're paying this roster $330 million to be on the outside looking in with a week left in the regular season. And if you look at the schedule, these last two series, they're not easy. They're going to Wrigley Field, a place that's been kind of tough to play in this year. The Cubs, they're in the playoffs. They're looking pretty good. The Cubs, that's not an easy beat. Pete Crow Armstrong, I'd bet he'd love to get one over on the Mets after dealing them off. And then you got the Marlins last year. Oh, yeah. Oh, stop me if you've heard this before. And on the brink of missing the playoffs after not even fathoming missing it. And then, oh, last game of the series is against the Marlins, who have been a bear trap for every single playoff team since July. Yeah, I harken back to this. The series the Yankees played after the trade deadline, they went down to Lone Depot Park and got murked for 3 games. The Marlins aren't an easy beat. That team's sneaky. That team smells blood in the water. They love knocking teams down a peg or two. And there is no greater opportunity that they have to knock a team down off a very tall peg and make them fall flat on their face after falling 100 feet down than the New York Mets. This is, again, I say this word a lot, but a disaster's looming, my friend. And it's not looking good. Not looking good. If I was a Mets fan, I don't know if I'd have faith. As a Yankee fan who always expects the worst to happen, I think, oh, they're going to win that series. They're going to go into the playoffs. They're going to get hot. They're going to win a bunch of series. And then they're going to, the big brother talk, that's going to happen again because they went on a miraculous playoff run. But right now, it's so, and they're having unlucky things happen to them too. Like that Jacob Young catch where he bounced off his foot and caught it. I'm sorry, that doesn't happen to teams that have things work out for them. You can't see that happen and then say to yourself, yeah, everything's going to be all right. I'm sorry. If that happened to the Yankees, I would have thrown in the towel. As if I haven't already. But just a terrible, 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 terrible. It's bad stuff. All right, that'll be all from me today. Overall, a very sad week. A lot of bad stuff happening for all the teams around here who are relevant. I mean, I guess hockey season starting soon. I mean, you got, like, at least those teams are kind of normal. I
I mean, all three teams in this area have reasons to be optimistic. I mean, you got the Rangers who just hired Mike Sullivan. And in hockey, if you hire a new coach, you could have the same exact roster around and you could win 10 more games and go to the conference finals. So it's a very fickle sport. You got the Islanders who just drafted Matthew Schaefer, and I've read a report where he's going to be like the top pairing defenseman on opening night. And then you also have the Devils who, I mean, although I need to see this Luke Hughes situation get sorted out pronto, but I think it's way less of a problem than people are making it out to be. Luke Hughes not signing his contract when it goes over in preseason. He's not signing his deal. No, he's going to sign his deal. I think he's going to be in the lineup on opening night. If he's not, then I'll start complaining. I mean, as a Devils fan, I want the Rangers to fall flat and just embarrass themselves the way they did last year. But realistically, I don't think that's going to happen. Because at least in the regular season, up to the conference final, the Rangers are a very lucky team. Then they get to the conference final and things fall apart for them. But I think you're going to see, I think hockey is going to bring a little better. And that's what we need around here. We need better because our football teams are terrible and our baseball teams are chokers. All right, that'll do it. From the studios of WIUR and everybody here at the WIUR radio station from the Murphy Center, this has been Cameron Woolley telling you to have a good day and take care.